Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So continuing Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 9. Sanjaya Uvacha.
Sanjaya Uvacha.
Evam Uktva Hrishikesham.
Evam Uktva Hrishikesham.
Gudakeshaha Parantapaha.
Gudakeshaha Parantapaha.
Nayotsya iti Govindam.
Nayosya iti Govindam.
Uktva tusnim bubhuvaha.
Muktva tusnim
Bhubhuvaha.
Sanjaya said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, the chaster of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight. And fell silent. So, remember compassion, enjoyment, restriction of family tradition, fear of sinful reaction, and indecision. So now, Arjuna is in the indecision. Okay? Okay, Sunil Prabhu, read the purport.
Okay. Dhritarashtra must have been very glad to understand that Arjuna was not going to fight and was instead leaving the battlefield for begging provision. But Sanjaya disappointed him again in relating that Arjuna was competent to kill his enemies, Parantava. Although Arjuna was, for the time being, overwhelmed with false grief due to family affection, he surrendered unto Krishna, the supreme spiritual master, as a disciple. This indicated that he would soon be free from the false lamentation resulting from family affection and would be enlightened with perfect knowledge of self-realization or Krishna consciousness, and would then surely fight. Thus, Dhritarashtra's joy would be frustrated, since Arjuna would be enlightened by Krishna and would fight to the end.
Yeah, so here, Govinda, I shall not fight, is saying. And Srila Prabhupada says, this Dhritarashtra's joy will be frustrated. Since Arjuna will fight, when Krishna has just started his instruction, right? So it will happen. 2:10. Tam uvacha Hrishikeshaha.
Tamuvacha Hrishikesaha.
Tamuvacha Hrishikeshaha.
Prahasan iva Bharata.
Prahasan iva
Bharata.
Senayor bhayor madhye.
Senayor
Madhye.
Vishidantam idam vachaha.
Vishidantam idam vachaha.
Yeah, so prahasan means the Lord is now smiling. Hrishikesha is the master of senses. Because Arjuna's senses are in confusion, right? Krishna started talking. What did he talk? Okay. So translation, O descendant of Bharata, at the time, Krishna smiling in the midst of both of the armies spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. Okay, so Mataji, please read the purport.
The talk was going on between intimate friends, namely the Hrishikesha and the Gudakesha. As friends, both of them were on the same level, but one of them voluntarily became a student of the other. Krishna was smiling because his friend had chosen to become a disciple. As Lord of all, he is always in the superior position as the master of everyone. And yet, the Lord agrees to be a friend, a son, or a lover for a devotee who wants him in such a role. But when he was accepted as the master, he at once assumed the role and talked with the disciple like the master, with gravity, as it is required. It appears that the talk between the master and the disciple was openly exchanged in the presence of both armies, so that all were benefited. So, the talks of Bhagavad Gita are not for any particular person, society, or community, but they are for all, and friends or enemies are equally entitled to hear them.
So the last line is very important. The talks of Bhagavad Gita are not for any particular person or society, but for all. Right? So therefore, what should we do?
Like we should like talk about like Bhagavad Gita,
But how
like
many people
in
can you talk about Bhagavad Gita to?
like devotees.
Yeah, that is the problem. You can only talk to a small subset of devotees, right? In order to give this knowledge to the whole world, what should we do?
Like we should preach.
How do you preach?
Like what we like understand from the temple, like we should like preach, like starting by the simple steps, like offer prasadam, like get them involved in the
Yeah, more
service,
important than prasadam, what is it?
service.
But service is for you and Krishna. How is that preaching? Service is not preaching. So we should distribute books.
Okay, yes.
Go on the street. People will say no, 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 no. But 10 people will say no. 11th person.
Wonderful.
Right? So distribute books. You are already going on Sankirtan, so learn how to distribute books. People will say no. Right? Like suddenly if you go on the street and somebody stops and say, here is a sari, please buy. Will you buy?
No, yeah, that's correct.
Right? Like, who are you? Why are you stopping me? Why are you giving this? But then why should we give Bhagavad Gitas to people and request a donation? It
So
is
like
in their
because
own
we
interest,
are,
right? It is in their own interest. We are trying to help them. They may not know it, but we are trying to help them. And sometimes they may yell at you. It's okay. You can tolerate that and continue to distribute books. Usually when you say, please take this book, nobody will take. Right? But you should try. Once in a while, somebody will take, they'll be benefited. And what is Gudakesha mean?
no, okay, sir.
Huh?
Don't know, Prabhu.
Don't know. Gudakesh means somebody who does not need to sleep. You and I need to sleep in the night. But Arjuna, 18 days for the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he didn't sleep. Doesn't need to sleep.
Okay.
He will just have a prasadam in the evening, sit down and chat with some other. When others go to sleep, he'll just stay awake. So Rishikesh is controller of senses. Gudakesh is controller of sleep.
Control of sleep.
So this is happening between these two parties, this discussion. These two individuals, I should say. To 11. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Sri Bhagavan Uvacha
Asosyan Anvasochastvam
Ashocyan
Asosya
Pragya Vadamsha Bhasase
Pragyavada
Bhasase
Gatasuna Gatasumscha
Gatasuna
Apta
Gatasunsa
Puja
Nanu Sochanti Panditah.
Nanusochanti Panditah.
Pandita.
So Pandit means learned, right? Like normally we say Panditji in almost in a funny way. But actually Pandit means somebody who has knowledge. Right? The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. So Arjuna is quoting Shastra, he is giving nice logic. But Krishna's point is, come straight to the point. You are mourning, means you are crying for what is not worthy of grief. Grief is also another word for being sad or crying. So those who are wise, what do? They lament, means they lament neither for the living nor for the dead. So if something happens to a living person, you don't cry. If somebody dies and there is a dead body there, you don't cry. Such a person is called a wise person, because the wise person knows that the soul never dies. Right? Chapter 2 is the signs of the soul and signs of the senses. Okay, Manishji, please read.
But the Lord at once took the poison of the teacher and chastised the student, calling him indirectly a fool. The Lord said, "You are talking like a learned man, but you do not know that one who is learned, one who knows what is body and what is soul, does not lament for any stage of the body, neither in the living nor in the dead condition." As explained in later chapters, it will be clear that knowledge means to know matter and spirit and the controller of both. Arjun argued that religious principles should be given more importance than politics or sociology, but he did not know that knowledge of matter, soul, and the supreme is even more important than religious formularies. And because he was lacking in that knowledge, he should not have posed himself as a very learned man. As he did not happen to be a very learned man, he was consequently lamenting for something which was unworthy of lamentation. The body is born and is destined to be vanquished today or tomorrow. Therefore, the body is not as important as the soul. One who knows this is actually learned, and for him there is no cause of lamentation, regardless of the condition of the material body.
Yeah. So what is the key message here?
The key message is like so. So one thing is that like so basically, like so like basically like one he is like not like learned and he should not know that like he is like then he said like he should not pretend to be like a pandit, and he should not talk like a pandit. And the main and other thing is that like knowledge of matter and supreme being is more important than the normal rituals which we do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yes, like that soul like is eternal. So that's also one of the points here.
Yeah, so Arjun wanted religious principles to be above politics or sociology. So he said, okay, I won't fight. By fighting, I'll win, I'll punish the other party, but I don't care. I'll just give it up. He thought that he was being very smart and cute. But then Krishna called him indirectly a fool. 212. Natva evaham jatu nasham.
Nataveva
Evaham jatu nasam
Natvam neme janadipaha.
na tvam nime janadhipah
Na chaiva na bhavishyamaha.
na chaiva na bhavisyamah
Sarve vayam atah param.
sarve vayam atah param.
Never was there a time I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings. Nor in the future shall any one of us cease to be. Right? So this is like one of the important verses. Now the actual Bhagavad Gita is starting. Right? He's giving the signs of the soul. He's saying, never was there a time I did not exist. Means I always existed, nor you. Means you always existed. Saying nor all these kings. Means all these kings who are assembled to fight, they are also existing all the time. And not in the future shall any one of us cease to be. Cease means stop being, which means the soul doesn't die. So he's using different language, different convincing arguments to state the most important point. Okay, Manish, please read.
Okay. Authored by Srila Prabhupada. In the Vedas, in the Katha Upanishad, as well as in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the maintainer of innumerable living entities. In terms of their different situations, according to individual work and reaction of work, that Supreme Personality of Godhead is also by his plenary portions alive in the heart of every living entity. Only saintly persons who can see within and without the same Supreme Lord can actually attain to perfect and eternal peace. Nityo nityanam chetananam eko bahunam yo vidadhati kamna tam atma stham ye nupasyanti dhiras tesam santi saswati nitaresam. Katha Upanishad 2.2.13. The same Vedic truth given to Arjuna is given to all persons in the world who pose themselves as very learned but factually have but a poor fund of knowledge. The Lord says clearly that he himself, Arjuna, and all the kings who are assembled on the battlefield are eternally individual beings, and that the Lord is internally the maintainer of the individual living entities, both in their conditions and their liberated situations. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Supreme Individual Person, and Arjuna, the Lord's eternal associate, and all the kings assembled there are individual eternal persons. It is not that they did not exist as individual in the past, and it is not that they will not remain eternal persons. Their individuality existed in the past, and their individuality will continue in the future without interruption. Therefore, there is no cause for limitation for anyone. The Mayavadi theory that after liberation, the individual soul, separated by the covering of Maya or illusion, will merge into the impersonal Brahman and lose its individual existence is not supported herein by Lord Krishna, the supreme authority. Nor is the theory that we only think of individuality in the conditioned state supported herein. Krishna clearly says herein that in the future also the individuality of Lord and others and it is confirmed in the Upanishads will continue eternally. This statement of Krishna's is authoritative because Krishna cannot be subject to illusion. If individuality were not a fact, then Krishna would not have stated it so much. Even for the future, the Mayavadi may argue that the the individuality spoken by Krishna is not spiritual but material. Even accepting the argument that the individuality is material, then how can one distinguish Krishna's individuality? Krishna confirms his individuality in the past and confirms his individuality in the future also. He also confirms the individuality in many ways. An impersonal Brahman has been declared to be subordinate to him. Krishna has maintained spiritual Krishna has maintained spiritual individuality all along. If he is accepted as an ordinary conditioned soul in individual consciousness, then his Bhagavad Gita has no value as authoritative scripture. A common man with all four defects of human frailty is unable to teach that which is worth hearing. The Gita is about such literature. No mundane book compares with the Bhagavad Gita. When one accepts Krishna as an ordinary man, the Gita loses all importance. The Mayavadi argues that the plurality mentioned in this verse is conventional and that it refers to the body. But previous to this verse, such a bodily conception is already condemned. After condemning the bodily conception of living entities, how was it possible for Krishna to place a conventional proportion on the body again? Therefore, individuality is maintained on spiritual grounds and is thus confirmed by great acharyas like Sri Ramanuja, and others. It is clearly mentioned in many places in the Gita that this spiritual individuality is understood by those who are devotees of the Lord. Those who are envious of Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead have no bona fide access to the great literature. Those who are envious of Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead have no bona fide access to the great literature. The non-devotees approach to the teaching of Gita is something like that of a pin leaking on a bottle of honey. One cannot have a taste of honey unless one opens the bottle. Similarly, the mysticism of the Bhagavad Gita can be understood only by the devotees, and no one else can taste it. And as it stated in the fourth chapter of the book, nor can the Gita be touched by persons who envy the very existence of Lord. Therefore, the Mayavadi expression of Gita is most misleading presentation of the whole truth. Lord Chaitanya has forbidden us to read commentations made by the Mayavadis and warns that one who takes to such an understanding of the Mayavadi philosophy loses all power to understand the real mystery of Gita. If individuality refers to empirical universe, then there is no need of teaching by the Lord. The plurality of the individual soul and Lord is an eternal fact and is confirmed by the Vedas as above mentioned.
Yeah, so this individuality, Srila Prabhupada stresses on this individuality because there are these people called Mayavadis who say everybody is one. After we die, we all merge into one, right? So there is only one in the beginning and there's only one in the end. But Srila Prabhupada has written this whole purport to show that we are individual, right? So he will talk about Mayavadis many times during the Bhagavad Gita.
It's so good.
And the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Why? Because it's very important. Like actually, if you look in India, more than 70-80% of the gurus actually they teach Mayavad. They'll say after liberation we'll all become one. I mean, they'll follow the same Bhagavad Gita. They will do the same things we do, wake up in the morning, do Mangalarti, and all those things, right? They will follow most of the things. So you'll think that they are also like us. But there is one fundamental difference. Because they say that we lose our individuality after the soul leaves the body.
Death.
Soul goes and merges into some kind of a big blob kind of thing, right? Just like in cloud, we have blob storage. So they think that in the, heavenly planets, there is a big blob and we just go and merge into that blob. Or in the Brahman effulgence. So Brahman effulgence, they think it is just like some kind of light energy and you go merge into it. But then the Vaishnava understanding is that effulgence or light is nothing but the light emanating from the Supreme Personality. Right? Effulgence means just like a light bulb, when you switch it on, you will see light glowing from the surface of the bulb. Similarly, you have this Brahman light emanating from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Brahmano hi pratishtaham. He says pratishtaham means establishing. So who established Brahman? I established Brahman, Krishna says. So long purport message is only one, that we are individual souls. Like if you talk to Mayavadi for 1 or 2 hours, he'll convince you that you don't exist, he doesn't exist. Your bank balance doesn't exist, your car doesn't exist, like that. They'll just give you such impressive arguments that you think nothing exists, nothing matters, everything is Maya. Yes, we also believe in Maya, but what is Maya? Something that separates us from Krishna. It's not like everything is Maya. They even say that Krishna is also Maya. So that is another challenge. I think in 2.30 or something, this point is discussed again once we go there.
Yeah.
Any questions on this one? Very important concept. Because if you think that we are all one, or we are all become one after death, then you'll be struggling to understand Bhagavad Gita from this point on. No questions?
So I think like on Maya, maybe like we can discuss sometime. Like basically like I wanted to like the understand this topic like a little better, because like
Yeah.
when some
Maya is a big topic. So what is Maya? That which is not Krishna. Just like in electronics engineering, you say A, not A. Right?
Yeah.
So
Correct.
not Krishna is Maya. It is also Krishna's energy. But when you say, I don't want to follow a Krishna, Maya takes over. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a verse. Krishna bhuliya jeev bhogvancha kare. Bhuliya means forgetfulness. Bhog means enjoyment. So when you want to forget Krishna and want to enjoy, so what then happens? Maya thate jhapatiya dare. So Maya slaps you then. Jhapatiya dare. Japad laga usko, like that, right? You slap him. So Maya, when does she act? Only when the living entity forgets Krishna. Krishna bhuliya, jiva. Jiva means you and me. Bhog vancha kare. Right? Bhog means enjoyment. Vancha means desire. Then Maya, that is jhapati. Maya slaps you only then. But if you're always like, okay, I'll do Mangalarti, I'll chant my rounds, I'll go preach Bhagavad Gita, I'll distribute books on the street, I'll give a donation to the temple, I'll clean the pots in the temple. All these devotional activities, Maya cannot enter when she does not want to enter. She'll say, okay, you are serving Krishna, so I'll leave you alone. I'll go after the next guy. Because she has enough people to go after. But the moment you also behave like that, then she will slap you. So it is not K. Not K, actually K for Krishna. So not Krishna equals to Maya. Maya doesn't have independent existence. Only when you deny Krishna, Maya has its existence. But if you accept Krishna, Maya doesn't exist. You see the difference? Maya is not a independent concept. Maya is not Krishna. Boolean logic. So Srila Prabhupada went to Italy. Somebody said, if there is God, then why there is so much evil in this world? Very nice question, right? Logical question. God should stop
Yeah.
all. So Prabhupada very beautifully answered this. He said, look at the sun. He said, do you look at the shadow? People said, no, because when sun is in the front, shadow is in the back, right? But then you turn 180 degrees. Now you are away from the sun. What happens? You see the shadow?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you are away from Krishna, when you turn away from Krishna,
It's your shadow.
then shadow, the Maya kicks in. Then there is everything is evil.
Hmm.
All right. But when you turn towards Krishna, then there is no Maya. Of course, this is the elementary concept. But when you become a very big devotee, then Maya will raise the bar. You know what the raise the bar means?
Yeah, he knows. I don't know.
Like in high jump, first they'll make you jump 1 feet. Then they'll put 2 feet, 3 feet. Then they say, this fellow is jumping everything. They'll put 7 feet. Then he cannot jump.
Yeah.
So for very senior devotee like Harivilas Maharaj, his house got burned down.
Huh? Really?
Yeah. This was in 2003 or something like that. Right? His house got burned down. So that evening he came to the temple, he gave a class. He said, okay, my house got burned down. So what am I going to do now? Let's continue devotional life. So as you progress higher and higher, the test will be more serious. And you have to pass the test. So that is Maya operating not because you are away from Krishna. That's Maya operating to test you even though you are towards Krishna. See the difference? Like all great devotees went through a lot of troubles in the history. But did they give up the devotion because they have troubles?
No.
No. That is the test. If you give up because there are troubles, means you're a devotee, but you're not like a serious devotee. You're chanting Hare Krishna only when everything is going well. Suddenly people lose job, somebody in the family dies. Even then, if you're continuing devotional service, means you're serious. You understood the logic. Understood the philosophy, actually.
Got it.
So that is Maya. Maya operates in... Maya is nothing but Krishna's internal energy. Like in Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra. Subhadra is also a form of Maya. But she is Shubhadra, means she is good energy. Then there is Abhadra or Bhadra Kali. So when you don't follow Krishna's instruction, she'll show up as Bhadra Kali and she'll take her Trishul and give you all kinds of trouble. Like sometimes you'll see people have legal problems. They'll lose a job. Some property, somebody will occupy their property, right? You have seen this? So that's Maya Devi's disciplining function. So she has a lot of functions. She has a testing function, she has a disciplining function, and she has a facilitating function also. If you pass a test and you're very serious, she will hold your hand and take you to Krishna. Same person, huh? If I'm a rascal, she will slap me. If I'm neutral, she will put me through some troubles. If I have initial devotion, she will test me. But if I pass all the tests, she will hold my hand and take me to Krishna.
Yes.
Yeah, that's Maya's function. She's actually very good. She is Parvati Devi. She's Shiva's wife. But she has to do all these nasty things to us because she has to test us. That's the function given to her. Same thing with Yamraj. Yamraj doesn't like to kill you and roast you in boiling oil in Kumbhipaka Narak, or feed you to the worms in Shishurula Narak. There are 27 types of Naraks. 27 or 28, one of the two. But why does he do? That is his seva. Just like your seva is pot washing in the kitchen, Yamaraj seva is to trouble all the souls which are rebellious. Right? And there is a third personality called Kali. And what Kali does? Tatascha anudinam satyam saucham kshamadaya kalena balina rajan nunkshutu ayum bhalam smritihi. Tatascha anudinam. Ardin. What is happening? Tatascha anudinam satyam saucham kshamadaya. Satyam, truthfulness, goes to dogs. Saucham, cleanliness, goes to dogs. Shama, tolerance, goes to dogs. Daya, mercy, goes to dogs. And you're already seeing this, right? People don't care.
Yes, sir.
They fight with each other. Even small things they fight, don't they?
Yeah.
Right? So this personality, Kali, he's doing seva to the Krishna. What is his seva? He puts confusion between people. So truthfulness goes away, tolerance goes away, mercy goes away because of Kali Yuga. So you have to understand all these personalities. All of these people are serving Krishna in different shapes and forms because we are rebellious souls. Originally, we were eating laddu and playing with Krishna. Suddenly, one day we said, "Arey, why should Krishna enjoy? I want to enjoy independence." So we were kicked out. Just like if your son says, "Papa, who are you? You should listen to me. Give me your credit card and your bank balance. And you should listen to me." You will say, "Get out, son. Who do you think you are?" So that's what happened to us. We got kicked out from spiritual world because we behaved in a rebellious fashion. If you say nicely, "Papa, I want to go to San Diego. Can you buy me a ticket?" He'll say, "Okay, beta, I'll buy a ticket for you." But here we behaved in a rebellious fashion with Krishna. That's why we were kicked out. Once we are kicked out, all these forces will act on us. Maya Devi will act, Kali, personality of Kali will act, and when we die, personality of Yamraj will act on us. And there are other forces also. Adi Bhautika Klesha means you get a headache, you get tummy ache, your body and your mind are troubling you. Adi Daivika Klesha, the demigods are troubling you by too much heat, too much cold, tsunami, typhoon, hurricane. Then Adi Bhautika, Adhyatmika Klesha is your body and mind troubling you. Adi Bhautika is other people troubling you. You are happily working in the office and suddenly your boss comes and says, "Sorry, we are laying you off. 2 days notice, 1 week notice, whatever." Right? So these three kleshas or troubles are functioning on the soul. Then there are four more problems. Turn our attention to Krishna and get out of this not so good situation. Prabhupada, example of a gentleman and a toilet. You go to the toilet and you start, releasing stuff from your body. It stinks. Do you want to sit there for a couple of hours in the toilet?
No.
You want to quickly finish the business and get
Don't
out.
go.
Put the exhaust fan and get out quickly. right? So Prabhupada said this material world is like that. It's like a toilet. You have to quickly get out of this material. This is a nonsense place. Whatever you want, nothing happens here. So don't be surprised because it's by design, right? Like in the Hindi movie, there is a song, Duniya banane wale, kya tere man mein samaayi, काहे को दुनिया बनाई तूने, काहे को दुनिया बनाई. So, oh creator, why did you make this world? This is such a headache world. But there is an answer.
Nice singing.
Hmm?
Nice singing.
Yeah. But you should get the message, not the singing.
Yes.
So think about how to get out as soon as possible. Don't try to stay here, buy house, buy second house, buy car, buy bigger car, buy this, buy that. I mean, you can do that in service of Krishna, but not for yourself. Then there will be more kleshas. Adi bhautik klesh, Adi adhyatmik klesh, and Adi daivik klesh. So all these principles are discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Purana. Right? So I'm giving you a preview of what is to come. But essentially, you should know that the soul is in a very vulnerable position. You don't think you are alone. There are 8 billion people who are all struggling. You are not the only one who is struggling. Even Biden is struggling. Trump is struggling. Just see the news, you'll know how difficult their position is.
Yeah.
Everybody is struggling. But they don't know the answer. We know the answer. So now let's apply it. Right? So it is said in Shastra that if you take shelter of Krishna, this material world with all the problems becomes like crossing a puddle of water formed by a calf's hoof print. Calf has a small hoof print, maybe 2 inches.
Yeah.
So is it easy to cross 2 inches of diameter of water or cross the Pacific Ocean?
2 inches.
Yeah. So our life is samsara. Samsara sagaram. Sagar means ocean or sea. So you cannot cross the sea. You need a boatman. The boatman is the guru. But better still, if you surrender fully to the Guru and Krishna, then you just have to cross 2 inches. That's it. He makes it very simple. The Pacific Ocean will shrink to 2 inches. Have you seen the Pacific Ocean anytime?
I've seen Indian Ocean, Arabian Sea,
In
not
India,
Pacific.
you saw in India, you never saw in Seattle?
Should I no? Like we have like some just in the lakes, right? Like not the ocean.
Yeah, so make a drive to the ocean. Go to Oregon or
Yeah.
someplace, ocean, sit there. Then you'll realize how small you are and how big the ocean is. So it's not possible to cross this ocean unless we have an expert boatman in the form of a guru. So in Ramayana, there is a boatman. So Lord Ram says, can you help me cross over this Saryu river?
Yeah.
He says, my dear Lord, is it Saryu river or which river is that?
That's Ganga River, probably.
Huh? Ganga?
Ganga.
Ganga river.
Yes.
So he says, oh my Lord, I will take you in my boat to other side. But you take me out of this cycle of birth and death, the samsara.
Yes.
How
Yeah, so
smart
that's
is
what
the
this.
boatman, right? He understands philosophy. And he understands the position of Lord Ram. He says, I will take you across this road, or across this river, but you take me out of this cycle of birth and death. So he's an expert negotiator. He negotiates with Lord Ram and he actually gets the desired result. Right? So our position is very, very bad. To some or the other, we have to get out of this cycle. So yeah, understand who Maya Devi is, who Kali Purush is, and who Yamraj is, what their function is, what is our position. Yeah, it is good to sing in sadhu sangha and jump up and down, but end of the day, you should know why we are jumping up and down. Because if you don't dance for Krishna, you will dance for
Maya.
Maya. Simple. Then all the problems will come. So better dance for Krishna. But you should know why you are dancing for Krishna also, right? Because he has the keys to the kingdom. Right? You go to a auto showroom, $200,000 Lamborghini. Unless the fellow gives you keys, you cannot try it. Right? You can only look from the outside. So who has the keys to the kingdom? Krishna has the keys to the kingdom. So you have to be in the good books of Krishna, not in the bad books. Because he can basically deliver you. But why should he deliver? That's the question, right? आपने क्या किया उनके लिए? What did you do? If you don't do anything, why should he? Why is he obligated? He's not, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. This is perfect logic. It's mathematical also. If you do X, he will give you X. If you do Y, he'll give you Y. And if you give him infinite love, then he'll give you infinity back. So it's coming later in the Bhagavad Gita. Ye yatamam prapadyante tam statayve bhajamyaham. Krishna is perfectly, proportionally, he gives you what you give him. In a way, it's like a baniya thing. You give him X, he'll give you X. You give him Y, he'll give you Y. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because it will be unfair, right? You give him X and he'll give you X cube. And somebody gives X and he only gives him X back. Is that fair?
Not here. Not.
Krishna is perfectly proportional, law of proportionality. And you can say, oh, is Krishna watching me? He's watching you 24/7. How is he watching you?
Like he's eternally present.
What?
Like he's present eternally. Like how is he watching us?
But where is he present? He is present in your heart as Paramatma. So 24/7 he is monitoring you. 24/7 and monitoring me. So you better watch out, right? Don't do nonsense stuff because he's there 24/7 is watching you.
Okay, yes.
You cannot escape from Krishna for a second. So might as well surrender to Krishna. Otherwise, Maya will slap you. And if you manage to some or the other squeeze through life, then Yamaraj will slap you. And if you're struggling with life, Kali Purush will slap you. He'll cause problems between you and your wife, you and your boss, you and your neighbor, some or the other, right? Satyam, Saucham, Kshama, Daya. These four characteristics Kali Purush is killing on a daily basis. That's what that verse means. So how are you going to do? We cannot do anything. We are pretty much trapped, actually. हम लोग फंस गए यहाँ पे. We are trapped. So only shelter is Mukunda. Mukunda means giver of liberation. Nobody else, not Ganesha, not Durga, not even Shiva for that matter. Only Mukunda can give you and me liberation. So better, now that you understand the science, follow the process, right? And seva. Seva is very, very essential. You have to serve the spiritual master. Like Harulas Maharaj says, okay, do this. You cannot say, Maharaj, I have taekwondo class. No, if he asks you to do it, period. End of story.
Yeah.
Otherwise, again, karma will hit you. Kali Purush will hit you. Durga Devi will hit you. End of life, Yamraj will hit you. There's a huge line lagi hui hai. Everybody and their brother is waiting to trouble you.
Yeah, and then we'll come back again.
And you'll come back again. So better, let's get to our senses. 213. Dehinosmin yata dehe
Dehino smriti tha dehe.
Kaumaram yauvanam jara.
Kaumaryam yavanam jana. Jara.
Dehantara praptir.
Tatha dehan prapte.
Dhirastatra na muhyate.
Dhirastatra prapte.
So this is a very, very pivotal verse of Bhagavad Gita. So this verse you should memorize. This will be on the test also, no doubt. 100% will be on the test. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body, from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. You should memorize the Sanskrit and the English translation. Okay, Mataji, read the purport.
Since every living entity is an individual soul, each is changing his body every moment, manifesting sometimes as a child, sometimes as a youth, and sometimes as an old man. At the same spirit soul is there and does not undergo any change. That this individual soul finally changes the body at death and transmigrates to another body. And since it is sure to have another body in the next birth, either material or spiritual, there was no cause for lamentation by Arjuna on account of death, neither for Bhishma nor for Drona, for whom he was so much concerned. Rather, he should rejoice for their changing bodies from old to new ones, thereby rejuvenating their energy. Such changes of body account for varieties of enjoyment or suffering according to one's work in life. So, Bhishma and Drona, being noble souls, were surely going to have spiritual bodies in the next life, or at least life in heavenly bodies for superior enjoyment of material existence. So, in either case, there was no cause of lamentation. Any man who has perfect knowledge of the constitution of the individual soul, the super soul, and nature, both material and spiritual, is called a dhira or a most sober man. Such a man is never deluded by the change of bodies. The Mayavadi theory of oneness of the spirit soul cannot be entertained on the ground that the spirit soul cannot be cut into pieces as a fragmental portion. Such cutting into different individual souls would make the supreme clearable or changeable against the principle of the supreme souls being unchangeable, as confirmed in the Gita. The fragmental portions of the Supreme exist eternally, Sanatana, and are called Shara. That is, they have a tendency to fall down into material nature. These fragmental portions are eternally so, and even after liberation, the individual soul remains the same fragmental. But once liberated, he lives an eternal life in bliss and knowledge with the personality of Godhead. The theory of reflection can be applied to the super soul, who is present in each and every individual body and is known as the Paramatma. He is different from the individual living entity. When the sky is reflected in water, the reflections represent both the sun and the moon and the stars also. The stars can be compared to the living entities and the sun or the moon to the Supreme Lord. The individual fragmental spirit soul is represented by Arjuna, and the Supreme Soul is the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. They are not on the same level, as it will be apparent in the beginning of the fourth chapter. If Arjuna is on the same level with Krishna and Krishna is not superior to Arjuna, then their relationship of instructor and instructed becomes meaningless. If both of them are deluded by the illusory energy, Maya, then there is no need of one being the instructor and the other the instructed. Such instruction would be useless because in the clutches of Maya, no one can be an authoritative instructor. Under the circumstances, it is admitted that Lord Krishna is the supreme Lord, superior in position to the living entity, Arjuna, who is a forgetful soul deluded by Maya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the Mayavadis, again, see, two verses ago, Srila Prabhupada talked about Mayavadis. And again he's talking. Why? Because they misinterpret the Bhagavad Gita. They say both Krishna and Arjuna are under Maya. So if both are under Maya, then what is the meaning of one being a teacher and the other being a student? Right? So such instruction is useless. Therefore, Krishna is not under Maya. How can Krishna be under Maya? Krishna is the source of Maya. Krishna is the source of Brahman. Brahmano hi pratishtaham. But a lot of people misinterpret this whole stuff. What are we going to do? We cannot fix the whole world, but we can fix ourselves, right? So we should understand this concept and surrender to Krishna. This whole Bhagavad Gita is a surrendering process. In the final surrender is 18.66, 18th chapter, Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya, all dharmas give up. Mamekam sharanam vraja. Means, Mamekam, only to me you take shelter, sharanam. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo, I will take away all your pap. Sarva. He doesn't say partial papebhyo, 70% papebhyo. He doesn't say that. He says sarva papebhyo. I take all your papas. Moksha isyami masujaha. Oh my son, dear soul, I will give you moksha. Right? I mean, the whole thing is about moksha, right? You don't want to hang around here in this stupid material world. And it is getting more and more stupid with the politics that you see in America, how they are fighting like cats and dogs nowadays. At least 25 years ago when I came to America, there was some degree of decency. But now they yell like each other just like Indian politics. So there is so much stupidity going on in this material world. We have to get out as soon as possible. Right? If you don't get out, what will happen? What is the problem? By the time you come back after 40 years, 50 years, Kali Purush will be even more stronger. Because Kali is progressing, right?
Yeah.
Then he'll be even more in bigger trouble. Even to go on the main road, you have to take a gun. And if you come back after 100,000 years, how will it be? Somebody will say, Manish has a good body. Let's cut him up and eat him. Right? End of Kali Yuga, people will eat other human beings. So better not come back. It's utter foolishness to come back. We have to, in this lifetime only, get liberation. Moksha isyami masuchaha. He's saying, oh my son, I'll give you moksha. But what is the condition? What does he say? Surrender. Sarva dharman parityajya. Parityajya means give up. Your dharma as an office employee, your dharma as a son, your dharma as a husband, your dharma as a wife, dharma as a father. Of course, he says sarva dharman parityajya, but doesn't happen overnight, right? So you take a little bit of runway. So you do it. And at some point, maybe when you are 50 years old, you give up. That is the Varna Ashrama system. Varna and Ashram. Ashram means Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. But like my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Gita Swami, he directly took sannyas after Brahmacharya. He said, I'm not that stupid to get married even. But you and me, we came to Krishna consciousness after marriage, right? So we have some responsibilities we have to continue. You see the difference? If you are very convinced at the age of 5, you should train your son to take Brahmacharya. And after that, he takes sannyas and goes back to Godhead in one lifetime. But if it doesn't happen, then you have the safety net, right? You have a gymnastic guy who is jumping up and down on a thin rope. What is his confidence? Why is he confident?
Yes, safety.
Yeah, if he falls, there is a net below, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Without safety net, they won't go. Actually, it is not even recommended to go because some accident can happen. Your leg could slip on the rope and you fall and you die. That's foolishness, right? Just for little entertainment. So always it's good to have a safety net. So Varnashram is the safety net for the pure devotion. Pure devotion, not so easy. And we also came very late into Krishna consciousness, right? We are all married. So for us, immediately it's not possible. So we are using the safety net. We are trying to jump a little higher on the thin rope. Oh, Nirjala Ekadasi, I will not drink or eat anything. There is also a safety net, right? Worst comes to worst, you will break it. You will not get a full benefit. You will get 70% benefit. But if possible, you should go all, like Mataji was telling me in Seattle. Prabhuji, looks like I should take sannyas. And what did I tell her? Not yet, because you have a young child. You have to raise him till at least 16, 17 years. Put them in the brahmachari ashram, and then you can take sannyas. Anyway, women not recommended to take sannyas. You'll basically live in a temple or live close to a temple and do seva in the temple kitchen or whatever for the rest of the life. For men, it is recommended to take sannyas, travel and preach. Right? I've still not taken. So some people never take because it depends on the level of seriousness of the jiva. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sings, right? Jeev jago, Gora Chand bole, Kota nidra jao maya, Pisachi rakole. So Maya is like a Pisachi. Pisachi means like a ghost. Kota nidra. See, you are taking nidra, means you're sleeping in the lap of the witch Maya. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to do what? Jeev jago.
Because of
Wake up, you sleeping soul. How long will you sleep in the lap of the witch Maya?
Yeah.
Right? So we have to wake up and get out. If we get out, it's good for us. And Krishna is also happy, right? Oh, one more soul came back to me. The father always wants the son to come back. For example, your son Manish goes or your son Sunil goes to Los Angeles to act in Hollywood. He'll say, Arey Baba, don't go. A lot of bad people there. There's a lot of people who take drugs, this and that. Mafia is also there. Don't go. He will insist. You'll say, okay, Baba, you go. But here's a cell phone. Keep calling me every night. Here is a credit card. If you want some expenses, you can charge on this. But come back. After a few years, come back. But if your son never comes back, whose loss is it?
my loss.
Both loss. His loss and your loss.
Yeah.
Both loss. So when we go back to Krishna, Krishna is very, very happy. He wants his kids to
Back.
come. In Bible also there is the story of a prodigal son. So the son leaves and the father wants the son to come back. These are called allegory. Allegory means what? You use a story to explain a point.
Mhm.
Allegory, allegory. Allegory means you use some kind of an example to prove a point or to make a point, not really prove. So you have to go back. Father is waiting for us. So what is the message you put, Manish?
That is like that Jeev Jago, Ji Jago, the lyrics of that song by Bhakti
Oh,
Thakur. I just
okay.
did that.
Very nice. Okay, any questions?
So, like, I had this one question. So, basically, like, does a soul always need a body? Like a
If the
spiritual
soul
body
doesn't
or
have a body, you are a ghost. So it is better to have a body. And body is needed,
Okay.
right? To chant Hare Krishna mantra, you need a body. Right?
And
To
like,
walk to the
what
temple, you
like,
need a body. Yeah?
and what about like let's say like when a soul reaches like Goloka Dham or Vaikuntha
Yeah.
Dham?
Then you get a spiritual body.
Okay.
Our body is made out of blood, veins, right? Spiritual body
Yes.
is made out of Sat Chit Ananda. Sat means eternity, Chit means conscious, Ananda means bliss. Right now we are in Asat, Achit, Nirananda body. Always crying. Arey, boss ne promotion nahi diya. The price of tomatoes has gone up in QFC. You're always in Nirananda state.
Okay.
Spiritual
And
body means Sat Chit Ananda. You get Ananda body, blissful.
so so in case like when a soul like transfers to a spiritual body, so like does that take a birth and like grow like a human, or
No.
it-
There is no birth and growth in the
okay.
spiritual world. You are just there. That's it. Because time is absent, right? Time doesn't work
Okay.
in the spiritual world.
Okay.
Time is
So like
manifestation
one last one,
of
Prabhu.
time is manifestation of a rebellious soul's desires. Right? You want to celebrate your birthday. You need time for that, right? Birthday starts at 8 p.m. Birthday finishes at 10 p.m. But if you're celebrating Krishna's birthday, even after midnight, you don't like going to home. You still feel like staying in the temple and singing. The
Correct, yeah.
time isn't back there. That's just like a allegory again, simple example. But if you want detailed example, time is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam in great detail. This is like elementary. If you are in elementary school right now, after
Yes,
Bhagavad
Prabhu.
Gita, you graduate, then you go to Srimad Bhagavatam. That is like bachelor's degree. And then Chaitanya Charitamrita is like master's and PhD.
Mhm. Okay.
Ultimately, there's only everything is Krishna, right? But to come to that point, it will take many, many years, many decades actually. I came to Krishna consciousness in 2003, 2023, 20 years. Still, there is a lot more to learn and a lot more to realize. So don't be in a hurry. You'll get to it.
Okay.
Okay, see you all next
So
week.
okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Oh, you had one more question?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Prabhu. I had one more. So so I'm not so so basically like does Krishna will also have a spiritual body? Like Bhagwan will have a spiritual body?
Krishna always has a spiritual body. He's always Sachidananda.
Oh.
You will
Okay,
also have
yes,
a spiritual body if you manage to get there.
Mhm.
And then what you do after you go to spiritual world, you don't play cricket. You're always serving Krishna. Right? So you're always thinking about, oh, what will Krishna eat today? Oh, where is Krishna going? Should I clean his chariot? Should I do this? Should I do that? Always you're serving Krishna. Of course, not directly because you have no entry. Krishna has 16,000 gopis, right? 16,108 gopis. So you will only be a servant of the gopi. That's why you are practicing here being servant of the servant in the material world. Like for example, Harulas Maharaj is the leader in the Seattle temple. There are other people who are serving him. So you serve those people serve Harulas Maharaj serves Prabhupada serves his Guru. In this way, the seva is going up the chain. And mercy, kripa is coming down the chain. Parampara, Acharya Parampara is very important. You can, if you directly go and say, Krishna, Hare Krishna, I want to talk to you, he'll say, get up. Who are you? Come through the Parampara system. First of all, so Krishna won't even give you audience. He's too busy. Right? You can only serve the gopis who are serving Krishna. That is why it is said, Gopi Bharta Pada Kamalayor Das Dasanudas. Das ka das. You have to be removed 3 steps from Krishna. Our duty is only to serve. Whether he glances at us in favorable manner or he neglects us, that is Krishna's prerogative. You know the meaning of the word prerogative? And that is
Hero.
right. He can neglect us or he can pull us closer to him. But our duty is always same. It's a long topic. We'll discuss next time.
Okay, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Acharya
Jai.
ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bo.